is a dry floral foam. It's super light, but it's also pretty dense. So it's easy to cut, but it also really works well for stuff like this. So this is going to be mostly what's behind the bumper, and then we'll put fiberglass in right here. Still really thick, so the fiberglass will give it strength, but when you go to push in on the bumper, there will be something back behind there to keep it from bending inwards.
Alright, so I've been doing a lot of working, not a lot of talking in this video so far. That's just because it's been a lot of sanding and filling and sanding. So to answer just a few questions really quickly, a lot of people were asking me why I use fiberglass filler instead of Bondo. Fiberglass filler is a lot stronger, it's a lot more durable, and so over time it's not going to crack and stuff. If you have to build it up and start... One second. Okay. Let's see what we're saying. Fiberglass filler. Oh yeah. Bondo, if you build Bondo up, it'll crack. Fiberglass filler, if you build it up, you can build it up pretty thick before it'll crack. So that's why I use that to kind of do a lot of this structural stuff, and it makes repairs really easy. Like when I pushed back this like headlight portion right here, I was able to use filler to hold it in place. Bondo wouldn't have been able to do that. I'll come back behind that with actual fiberglass when we've got the bumper back off. We're struggling outside today. But it makes that kind of stuff really, really easy. Now, another reason is because you can mold fiberglass together with fiberglass filler, which is what I've been doing in this video, and I wanted to test out a few things before I showed it to you. I tested it out and it worked, so I'm going to show it to you now. So there are two kinds of bonds with fiberglass. There's a mechanical bond and a chemical bond. Now mechanical bond is going to be anytime you're molding fiberglass in or basically gluing fiberglass on, you've got to sand the surface, get it really, really coarse, and then stick the fiberglass on with resin and with fiberglass or with fiberglass filler. Chemical bond would be when the fiberglass is still wet, you lay in another layer of fiberglass, and then the chemical, the two layers actually fuse together chemically. It's way better and way stronger, but not always possible. So what we're doing today is the mechanical bonding of this bumper and of this little strip down here. Now for the bottom lip, I extended it about 8 inches, and I made this. This is a piece of fiberglass that I made just by laying it on top of some cardboard and then, well, tape and then cardboard. And the reason you lay the tape down is so that the cardboard will actually peel off. Now I went a little crazy with the resin on this one, and it's making it difficult to clean off. So I'm gonna clean that real quick, and then we'll get to the next step. All right, so now you can see that was actually way easier than I thought it was gonna be. But you can see this is a clean piece of fiberglass. I'm just using this section here. The stuff that the cardboard is stuck to is not that big of a deal. I'm just gonna cut it out. And it's gonna go in down here and help me extend my lip with a piece that's really already honestly kind of flat. So I guess that's what we'll do next. These are just metal shears. At least I think they are. They came with my Sonic toolbox and they look like metal shears. Really strong scissors that I'm using for cutting. All right, go in there. Get you guys a close up. So you can see I was gonna build this with that drywall putty and paper technique, but it's creating kind of a slope in here. I could get it flat, but this is gonna be way easier. I'll lay this in. We're gonna cut it. I know that the cut's not straight, that's okay for now. There we go, just like that. So to hold this in place, you're just going to be picking a spot, running a screw in up here. All right, so now we should be able to remove these. Okay, that's good. And you can see this is all really messy. That's kind of on purpose. I'm not worried about that. All right, so earlier I did that same method here. So you can see now I've gone over that with some filler, and basically what that does is it makes this piece bond to this so that this will all be one thing. When I sand it, it'll all be smooth, it'll be seamless, it'll be great. And you can see what I mean by that with this. So I've already done that up here. You can see we have this seamless transition into our new piece. Now, the bottom of this piece is still loose. And that's on purpose because I'm gonna pull this bumper off to do the underside of this and underneath here. See where I left it real messy? It's just easier to work with gravity, and gravity's gonna make all the fiberglass fall out of there. So I wanna get the bumper off in order to do that, and to get the bumper off, I needed to make everything one unit. So this is connected there, this one's connected there. You can see we just smoothed that out, and I'm gonna use this kind of factory line right here to blend everything in up through there. Same over there, and then we just glued these in kind of haphazardly, but that's okay. We're gonna be pulling all of that other stuff underneath it out. So I've got one there and then one up there, and I think what this means now is that I can pull all the screws out, every screw that's holding this thing on, and remove the bumper, and then I can body work the bumper off the car, which will be way easier. I can put it on like a table, and yeah, and we can finish this thing out. This has been way bigger. Like, I wasn't planning on building a whole new bumper for this car, but it just kind of spiraled out of control. I'm really happy with how it's come out, and I think it's gonna be really cool. But this has been a huge learning curve for me because I did not have a plan for this. So I just kind of having to handle it as it comes to me. A few things that I don't think I really talked about is I did have to cut this whole piece right here and push it inward. And that kind of created this triangle here. And then over here, we had to do the same thing, but just from here to here. So this kind of bulged outward. And when you looked at it from the front, you could see that that one was a straight line across and this one came out like this. So I cut this out, kind of a square, pushed it back, fiberglass over it to hold it in place. And now this one looks like that one, and taking measurements like from here backwards, they match. So that's gonna be really cool. It should look really good. Other things that I did, all of this is bonded, I already said that. And then just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on, you should be able to tell that this is wavy in the back, right? There's some supports right here that the bumper connects to that I covered up, and it created these waves that I'm not crazy about, but I haven't decided what I want to do yet. I am going to be putting a grill in right here. I don't know if I'll use like a modified stock grill or if I'll 3D print one, but that means that this all the way across right here is gonna be underneath the grill or cut out. So the part that I really need to flatten is up here, and this back here will either get cut away or it'll just be, you know, if it's wavy, it's wavy. You won't see it, basically. What else? I know that this looks really bad. I talked about this gap in the last video. I do have a solution for that, but we're gonna handle this after the bumper is body worked, because we're gonna have to make a new seam right where the fender and the bumper connect. So that will get handled, all of this will get handled, but I'm not worried about that yet. We're not there. The next step in this multi-step process is gonna be getting this thing finished out. So let's take the bumper off and see what happens. Ha-ha! There we go. That was a job. Look at that thing. Wow. You guys can't even see it. There it is. Look at that, man. Cool. So this is a little bit flimsy. You can see like that. So that's what we're gonna strengthen now. But man, that looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. It came off great. Let's see. Yeah. I really like that we extended the bumper out. I think it makes the car look a lot more modern. So I'm going to take this into the paint booth, and we're gonna body work it there, mainly because I'll be able to put it on a table, so I'll be bent over the whole time. And I won't make any more dust in here. It is crazy messy in here. I understand that, and I wanna clean it, but when you're doing stuff like this, it doesn't even make sense to clean, in my opinion, because you're just making more messes and more messes and more messes. So I'm gonna get this thing body worked. We'll do the fenders and stuff. I may clean before I move to the fenders just to get all this mess up, because it's a mess. Let's go. All right, so before we get into this, I had a couple of really awesome subscribers send me some lights, some LED lights to go in here, because it's kind of dark in here. So I'm gonna throw those up really quickly, like super quickly, and then we'll get back to this thing. Okay, so plan B here, I pulled that other one off, which is kind of good because it wasn't bonded super well. It probably would have been okay, but who knows. I didn't like the way that it looked. It wasn't uniform, it didn't fit great, and so what I did is I came in the same piece and just trimmed it out. I left these little wings on it. Those are sacrificial. Those will go away as soon as this is one piece. And it just fits in this gap right here. So we're gonna come in with a belt sander and hit that down, knock it down with the belt sander, and we're gonna do it on the same on this side, and then we'll fill that in with fiberglass filler. We'll come on the back side of it and reinforce it after it's all together. This way we've got a more smooth kind of transition here rather than that kind of weird bump that we created with the first round of this. I think it's gonna work a lot better. All right, so it's nighttime in here and it feels really bright. Now, I don't know how long you've been watching the channel, but if you've been watching for a while, you know this place is normally super dark and this is awesome. I've never felt so awake at nighttime in this building. I normally feel like I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm very excited to paint a car in here because I've got light just kind of everywhere now, which is good because that's been pretty much the hardest part about painting cars at home for me is, especially with metallics, not really being able to see what I did until I move it out in the sun. Now, we've had pretty good luck and I've been really sticking close to just patterns, following the same patterns, but this is gonna make things much easier. But we're not painting today. We're gonna keep working on this bumper. So I made some changes to it. I think that they worked out pretty well. I don't know, we'll see. My goal for this video is to get this thing completely fabricated and then we'll body work it in tomorrow's video and try to get it just done. I think we can do that, but we're gonna have to move. So next thing, I'm gonna see how strong this thing I just built is. We may have to reinforce it a little bit, and then we'll flip the bumper over and do the bottom parts that you can't see from the top, mainly just building in some structure and getting everything nice and rigid. Let's do it. All right, so this is not the way to go. I put filler on while the fiberglass was still wet. It just moved everything around. I was able to get it sorted, but don't do this. So what we're gonna do now is I've got my belt sander back out. I've been using this to kind of flatten everything out. So like these big open pieces, using the belt sander gives me a really long kind of flat plane to sand on. It'll keep me from having waves in the final product. That's the biggest problem with doing this, is it's really easy to just get waves and call it good enough. So the belt sander is kind of alleviating that problem. And when we move into Bondo in tomorrow's video, we'll be able to flatten everything out and make it look really good. So before we do that, this is the final piece of fabrication right here, this piece. Once we have that piece, we'll have a complete bumper. I've got to go underneath here so you can see this is still kind of loose. So I'm gonna go under there and do some filling. We'll do some trimming right here so that this line flows down into here, kind of like that on both sides. And then we'll be ready to be filling with Bondo. Now I'll show you kind of what's going on from back here. So if you look here, you can see some of those places where light's shining through. That's just a place where there's no filler. Fiberglass is transparent, the fiberglass filler is not. And so you can see where I've sanded through here, it just kind of shows you how wavy the surface is underneath the fiberglass filler. So that's why I use the filler, to give me a flatter surface so that when we do paint it, it actually looks like a good part. And if I do decide to pull molds off of this, which I'm leaning towards doing, we'll have a really flat finished piece that should look really, really good. So what I'm gonna do now is set up the sander, get on my respirator, and just knock down every single bit of fiberglass filler that's still on here. And yeah, and then I think that'll be a wrap. We might do a little bit of touch up with the filler, and then we'll move into Bondo. Yay! Okay, so I know it looks pretty awful, but the structure is done. I have some stuff to do, like filling and stuff. It's gonna be kind of boring. So, and I need more material. I'm out of material and it's kind of late. So I'm going to call this one here. And the goal that I have for the next one, it's a lofty goal, but I think it's an achievable one, is to have this thing body worked, meaning get everything flat, get everything smooth, and probably prime it. That's the goal. We'll see if that happens. I think I can, which you guys will know tomorrow, because I have another video coming out tomorrow at 11 o'clock CST. That's 12 on the East Coast, 8 on the West Coast. And if you're in Europe, it's like late afternoon to nighttime. So we will have, you guys will know tomorrow whether I did it or not, but I do not know yet. I think that I can do it. It's gonna be a lot of late nights. This part requires a lot of thinking, a lot of planning, a lot of trial and error. Bodyworking just requires a lot of work. And so, you know, it's like, it's not gonna be as laborsome in terms of what my brain's having to do, but it is gonna be laborsome in terms of what my arms will have to do to get this thing flattened out. I also need to get some more sandpaper and stuff. Anyway, it's a good stopping point for me, but this is it. I know it looks bad, but if you have a little bit of an imagination, you can already see what this thing's gonna look like. And I'm actually really happy with the design. The cool part about it is it's gonna be the only one in the world. So I did originally think I was just gonna use this lip down here to kind of tie everything together, and getting into building the front bumper, I kind of got carried away and I kind of just didn't feel like the lip was gonna do it. So, so this is what I came up with. We've got a big opening down here we can kind of shove a radiator into or whatever. I'm gonna do a bash bar. I've got a tubing bender that I can use to make a bash bar for this that'll go behind here, so it will be able to take an impact. Plus this stuff is super thick. Now, I mentioned earlier, I don't know if I'm gonna keep it like this or if I'm gonna actually pull an official mold off of this. So if you guys don't know, normally with fiberglass, you'll make a part similar to this one that's really overbuilt, really rigid, and really, really smooth. You'll paint it or prime it, polish it, and then make a mold, which is a negative of this, pull it off, and then lay fiberglass into that. Now what that'll do is give you, you'll see how my fiberglass, this isn't uniform at all. And it's heavy. This is probably like 10 pounds. So it's very heavy for a front bumper. So if we make a mold and pull a mold, it'll be way, way less heavy. It'll still be very strong. It'll be flexible. Everything about it will be better. But it's just more time, more money. So we'll see. We'll probably do it. I need to start doing that anyway. I hate this part. I don't know if you guys can see the dust. But that's enough talking about that. We'll likely be pulling a mold. Either way, I am very happy with the design. I think it looks really cool. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do underneath this bumper. I think I'm just going to come back like an inch or two to give it some kind of like a C-channel type of structure. So in the next video, tomorrow's video, I will be filling in anything that I missed with the fiberglass. It still is pretty flexible, all things considered. But I'll be filling in some spots that I missed with fiberglass or things that I want a little bit stronger, reinforcing, things like that. You'll notice I have like a hole right here that I'll have to fill in and finish, which is fine. I kind of thought that would happen anyway. And cleaning up kind of my wheel openings, just little stuff. It really won't take long. And then it's just going to be sanding, and more sanding. I will breeze through that for your guys' sake, for your sanity, and hopefully by the end of tomorrow's video, we have a primed and finished bumper. Sorry, I heard somebody outside. Freaked me out a little bit. Anyway, that's the plan. That's the goal. For now, I'm going to go eat some rest, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's all I got. See ya.